My name is Dr. Felucia. I'm a licensed psychologist and owner of Skillset Counseling, where I focus on the treatment of OCD, cultural abuse, and spiritual abuse. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic in the area of spiritual abuse, and that is the relationship between gaslighting and spiritual abuse. Now, if you go back in my video list on this channel, you're going to see other videos talking about spiritual abuse and also about gaslighting. And so if you want to take a deeper dive into either of those topics, I would encourage you to check out those videos. But basically, gaslighting occurs when an individual tries to control someone else's perception of reality. It's a form of coercive control or manipulation, okay? And it occurs when someone is trying to get you to doubt your own ability to perceive reality or to perceive what's going on around you, okay? 100% of people that I know or have counseled through spiritual abuse have experienced some sort of gaslighting, okay? And to explain what spiritual abuse occurs when spirituality is leveraged to control someone else or spirituality is used to cause harm, okay? So next question to answer here is, why is gaslighting frequently a part of spiritual abuse? I mean, like I said before, 100% of the instances where I've either worked with people or that I know personally, gaslighting is always a part of that. And so to understand why gaslighting and spiritual abuse occur so frequently together is to first understand how spiritually abusive environments work. These environments thrive on control. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video or any other type of video is that spiritually abusive environments thrive on control. A spiritually healthy environment does not need to control anybody. I talk about this in one of my other videos where people are free to come and leave as they choose. It doesn't mean that spiritually healthy environments don't have rules and don't have expectations, but at the end of the day, they understand that healthy people do not control other people, but spiritually abusive environments thrive on control. They control or they desire to control other people, okay? And so when spiritually abusive environments are operating, they use gaslighting to control the narrative about what is happening. Okay. And so when they are using gaslighting, they're using gaslighting to control the cause of the problem. And so when you control the cause of the problem, you get to decide how to cure the problem. It's almost like if you have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. And in these spiritually abusive environments, they are going to tell whoever that they're gaslighting, look, this is what the problem is, that they're controlling the reality of the problem. And so they get to decide this is how the problem is solved. Okay, so I'm going to explain how this looks like with an example, or what this looks like with an example. Okay, so let's say there's someone named Frank, okay, and he is a part of a church, and he decides to bring up some problems to leadership because he's noticing that there are some interactions between leadership and church members that seem too personal and are inappropriate to him. Okay, and because he works in law, he's looking at this from the perspective of, look, this is not only inappropriate, but there are going to be some legal problems if you guys don't cut this stuff out. And so he tells them, look, here are some problems. This makes me feel uncomfortable. It's not good for the congregation. It's going to not only cause us some legal problems, but people are just being people are being really inappropriate in their interactions with other members. It's being, people are just being too personal, and it's just inappropriate, and you need to stop. These things should just not be going on. And so he brings up his concerns to the church staff. And so when he does this, the leadership team does not listen to what he says. Instead, they tell him, Frank, you are being oversensitive, you're being critical, you're being divisive, you have a critical spirit. You're just overthinking things. And so when he tells them, these are some of the issues I have, these are some of the people that I've seen this behavior with, they deflect what he says, and they talk about the reputations of the leaders in question. And they tell him, these are very godly men, these are very godly women. Um, they're just being kind and loving, they don't mean any harm. And so they also tell Frank that he needs to go and pray more. He needs to go and examine himself, and rid himself of the critical sin that he has in his heart. He's a very critical person. And he tends to see the worst in people. So if he would just stop being so critical and so sinful, then he would see the situation very differently. And so Frank starts to doubt what's going on with himself. He's thinking, oh my goodness, like, am I crazy? And so he says, look, I saw this happening in this situation. So he gives a very specific account of something that he saw. And he tells the details. So he's thinking, okay, surely if I tell them I saw this person do this, and anybody else would look at this situation and say, wow, this interaction was clearly inappropriate. So he does this, and when he does this, he's told, that was innocent. That wasn't what happened. You're reading too much into things, Frank. You don't know that person's motives. You're looking into that person's motives, and you are ascribing bad motives to that person's behavior. They didn't mean anything by it. At this point, Frank really thinks that he is losing, and he starts thinking to himself, did I actually see what I saw? And so this is gaslighting. And what the committee here is doing is that they are gaslighting Frank. And what they're trying to do is control the reality of what he is seeing. If you notice, the committee didn't actually address any of the details of what Frank saw. They just bypassed all of that. And what they did is they attacked him, they attacked the reality. And not only did they attack him, but they attacked his competency, and then they attacked his motives. And so they described him as a sinful person. They attacked his ability to judge and perceive accurately. And so they said, well, if you weren't such a sinful person, you wouldn't see things in such a way. You wouldn't look and see these things as bad. And then they also defended the reputation of the people that he was, that he was saying that they were doing some things that were questionable. Okay. And so, through gaslighting, the church committee controlled the cause of the problem. They said that Frank's sin was a true cause, okay, not inappropriate behavior from church staff, okay? So through gaslighting, number one, they defined the cause, so they could also control the cure, which was for Frank to go and examine himself, pray more. And so that's the cure, not to go and address the problems with the church. Okay, the church staff. So I'm sure some of you are asking the question, well, hey, like, what if Frank was making things up, and aren't there people that do things like this, just to cause a stir and to get people in trouble, and that, or what if, another thing is, what if Frank didn't go in there with bad motives? What if he just made an honest mistake, and the fact is, those things are possibilities. They do happen. And, both in healthy environments and also in spiritually abusive environments, okay? The issue here is the response to Frank's behavior and the motive behind that response from the church committee's behavior, okay? So in spiritually abusive environments, and I talk about this in one of my other videos, appearance is always valued over authenticity, okay? In a spiritually abusive environment, they want to appear perfect. And that image is always valued over the what is true and what is real, and addressing real problems and doing the hard and dirty work of getting to the root of issues, okay? And the reputations of leaders and of the church as a whole is always valued over the health of individual people in the congregation, okay? And so the healthy response here, regardless of what Frank's motives were, whether he was right, whether he was wrong, whether he was going there to, stir up the pot or whether he made an honest mistake, was actually listen to what he said and go and investigate what happened, right? And so, in the story that I told, which is, by the way, not a true story, but if what they should have done is just listen to what he said, investigated it. And they don't even necessarily have to tell him everything that happened or keep him in the loop, but it was their responsibility if something inappropriate is happening where people are complaining and some people could be in danger or possibly harmed or feeling uncomfortable. They need to take that seriously and they need to look into what he said. And that did not happen. Okay, so in summary, gaslighting behavior occurs when an individual attempts to control someone else's reality or to control their perception of someone else's reality. Okay. And so if you ever wonder if you're being gaslit, it's not when someone disagrees with you, but when you feel like your own ability to accurately perceive your own reality is being questioned. Okay. And spiritual abusers heavily rely on gaslighting because in a way, they're very cowardly. They're controlling and they're incompetent. And so, instead of them, just sometimes saying like, hey, I don't have the answers to this. I don't know what to do. They are bent on controlling everything. They need to control the narrative. They need to control the appearance of everything. They're all about control. And so with gaslighting, again, they need to control the cause of the problem. And the way they control the cause of the problem is by trying controlling you. So when you come up and you say, hey, this is a problem that I am having, they're not going to listen to you, right? It's all white noise to them. They're not going to listen to the details. They're not going to try and figure out things from your perspective. Instead, they're going to have you question the ability that you have to understand reality, right? And I'm not saying that disagreement is gaslighting. What I am saying is that they're controlling what your perception is. And so they're going to say, hey, this is what the cause is. And in this situation with Frank, the cause is him being a sinful person. Okay. And then they're going to determine, well, this is what the cure is. And whatever the cure is going to involve some kind of spiritually abusive method that they're going to be implementing. Okay. And so I'd like to hear from you all in the comments. First of all, it really helps the algorithm to give this video a thumbs up if you're finding this content helpful. So please give a thumbs up if you find it helpful. And then I'd also like to hear from you. Have you witnessed this type of gaslighting or other types of gaslighting in a spiritually abusive environment? What was that like for you? What was the experience? Leave a comment in the comment section so I can learn more about that. And also, if you're experiencing any kind of spiritual abuse, please get help for that or any other type of abuse. I have resources in the comment section about that. And if you would like a consultation to learn how to deal with this sort of abuse or just learn more about it, go to my website, skillsetcounseling.com, or you can also click the link in the description box. All right. May you have a day filled with joy. Bye-bye.